It's just a long lost look in your eyes, brings out a love that I can't disguise. So take me down to the places I've never seen. Oh, don't you try to kill me with kind. It's just your love that's driving me wild. Oh, from the dawn we rise, with the heart we cry, to the light we go, into the light we go. From the darkest night, from the fire inside, into the light we go, into the light we go, into the light we go.
We're back here at LCK. We're going to take a look at some highlights. KT, they were so far ahead, but then a couple of moves gone awry, and all of a sudden the game turned back into ROX's favor.
How to lose a 5K gold lead in 10 minutes. The KT Rolster story was enacted in this particular game. 5K gold lead at 16 minutes is pretty mammoth, but KT Rolster got a bit too fast and loose as the game went on. At the start, even when Smeb was taken down, everything was fine for KT Rolster, but then it was initiation time. Headbutt Pulve onto Key. EQ misses Sangyoon, he flashes to safety. Never another speck of damage on him in this fight as he mows down everyone like a machine gun. Azir there as well. They didn't have the vision to make this play, Valdez. It was foolhardy on the side of KT Rolster. And then we just saw Sangyoon with his bonus item say thank you very much. First Deft was dead, then Mata, and this passage of play just ended the game.
That it did. I mean, it's an AD carry's dream when you get into a position, you're going up against a really scary composition, and then all of a sudden they blow all of their engage and they miss everything, and you're like, okay, now's my chance to output the damage. And Sangyoon, he's the guy that they play around a lot of the time, and well, he was able to do his job this time around in game 2. KT kind of throwing it back to them. Let's take a look at the MVP here. Will be Sangyoon on the Kog'Maw. No surprise here.
Definitely well-deserved, but the good thing you can say about 2018 ROX Tigers is that not Kuzan, but Lava, surprisingly, has become a dual threat with Sangyoon. After playing Karma and Orianna basically every game to give shields to Sangyoon, now he's actually wielding a weapon on his own. In the end of the game, on the Azir was able to do a lot of damage after the threat had gone down from KT Rolster. But like you say, Sangyoon is their prototypical carry, was able to show up on the Kog'Maw. Laning phase, nothing to write home about. KT got 3 turrets very early into the game, but after that, well halted by one single team fight was Sangyoon cleaned up. And now Sangyoon, you can see, wielding his arrow there and is cheerful, is hoping for a repeat of history. Will KT Rolster stumble before the match that everyone has circled, or will they right the ship? We get to find out next.
Well, Deft looks pretty relaxed and happy, ready to go as we go into picks and bans for game number 3. This time we will have ROX on the blue side once again, just like game 2. They're going to start this time off with the Gangplank ban.
Yeah, rolling back the game 1 strategy. Bans from KT will probably stay the same. You can see what they really don't want to deal with. The Vladimir is one they have been banning every time on blue and red side. They didn't really have a different ban pattern. On blue side to KT, they were sticking with what was strong whereas ROX Tigers didn't seem to have a true answer to Smeb on the Gangplanks. That's why we see it banned away. I wonder if KT Rolster will consider a Kog'Maw ban or just try to shore up some of their mid-game decision-making. I think the Kog'Maw was definitely not a cause of the problem. It was a symptom of the incorrect mistakes they made and then just kind of accelerated their demise. But you're never 100% sure, and might be an argument to start thinking out the AD carry pool, and they will opt into some AD carry bans, but this time they're banning away the Kalista that Deft played in Game 2.
Yeah, this time no Malzahar ban like we had out of ROX in Game 1, so maybe they were thinking perhaps ROX would want to go into a first pick Kalista, much in the way that KT did when they were on the blue side, so they take that away. Makes sense. We're going to have Jace banned out here as well.
Suggesting a first pick Gnar when you see Jace banned this high. Could also be a visit to Vladimir from ROX, as maybe the Vladimir ban can no longer be blanket to Lindarang. See if there's going to be a Kog'Maw ban here to take out the top 3 AD carries, or just an adjustment in play from KT. Maybe Deft jumping onto the Varus to try to punish the Kog'Maw in lane. And no, it will be a Kog'Maw ban, so 3 AD carries ban. Feels like we're back in week 1 with these sort of bans. Definitely puts a higher price on the Varus, but Sangyoon hasn't performed on Varus this season. He's actually 0-4. It's been a down champion for him, so Xayah is kind of the biggest carry next to Sivir that he'll consider, but the tier list suggests Varus. Varus is comfort for Deft, and also a lane bully in many scenarios. So despite the fact that history has been important, they're going to put history to one side, trust in the process, and return to Sangyoon on Varus.
Yeah, you'd have to think that some of those games were just not necessarily his fault. It was a Varus loss for Sangyoon, but more importantly, it was a loss for the ROX Tigers. Doesn't really always showcase the skill of his, play on Varus. So either way, we do have Sejuani left available because the Varus was taken first. KT will very happily pick that one up.
You also take away from this a lower priority on getting the best jungler for SeongHwan compared to actually shoring up the laning phase for Sangyoon. They want to get him on something that can actually win bot lane, that has a lot of the tools to trade effectively, and the cost is severe. We said, if you see a Jace ban, it's probably going to be a Gnar first pick. Instead, after the AD carry thinning, KT get, you would say, the best blind pick top laner and the best blind pick jungler in the game. So a pretty severe cost to picking up the Varus here for the side of ROX Tigers.
Well, we're going to be looking towards Lindarang, picking something into that Gnar, perhaps the Vlad or the Camille still available here.
Vladimir would be the comfort for Lindarang, Camille would be for the matchup. So we'll see which way they approach. They're just going to lock in the Zoe here for Lava, maybe thinking they're going to force out a mid lane pick here from Pawn on the red side over, say, an AD carry, and then start targeting the AD carries with bans. A lot of choices for Pawn in answer for the Zoe, but seeing how they're going to round the draft out on blue side, they're going to go for the Varus Braum, the very reliable lanes. They really are investing a lot in bot lane. Might even see SeongHwan play around the bot lane and actually try to accelerate it further. They have the option here, KT, of taking their choice of AD carries or their choice of laners into Zoe. And for now, at least, they seem to be hovering on just a bit of laning power. When you see Varus Braum so early, you say, wait, if I don't reach for something, maybe we're going to be very punished in bot lane. But in the end, they adjust their plan. They're going to try and play through mid lane. The Pawn have the Malzahar ult for the Zoe. That does come at the cost of some of Deft's champion pool.
That does, no doubt the bans will be targeted there, but we've seen what happens even if you do target out a lot of AD carries. You take away the Tristana, you take away the Xayah, but then they just pick up Sivir or Caitlyn, and even though it's not the most ideal situation, it's not a terrible place for your AD carry to be in. Whereas KT, they can easily ban out Lindarang here.
And I feel like the innovation of the Unsealed Spellbook bot lane takes a lot of the tier lists where Varus Braum beats a lot of lanes, therefore you win bot lane. They do number one, Smeb, I like it. But it takes a lot of that theory, and then suddenly you can't put it into practice the same way. You just teleport back into lane and circumvent poke damage and the other things that Varus and Braum bring. So we could see, like you say, a much more edge case AD carry for Deft. And right now they're actually looking to thin the support pool more than they are the AD carry pool, banning away the Janna from Mada.
You got some other picks still available. The Alistair, the Ornn, actually just getting banned. Tom Kench still available. See if they want to target another support pick here. Notice that the Camille is still left available for Lindarang if they do want to pick that up. targeting the Ornn instead of the Camille.
Yeah, seeing no Camille ban does suggest pretty heavily that they're going to have score camp for top lane. The reason why I say that is that Lindarang is 2-0 on Camille, and Camille, if she takes aggressive hook shots, she does win the lane trades against the Gnar. Deft has played one game of Vayne, but that was thwarted by a Malzahar. This time it's with a Malzahar. Will we see Deft lock it in? He has the Caitlyn he flashed available, but he'll go for the relative safety of the Tristana. So it won't be the Caitlyn, it won't be the Vayne, won't play with fire that much. Just gonna go for Tristana and potentially trying to counter push against the Varus and Braum.
Baiting everyone in the audience and in the Twitch chat, and myself. Vayne was the one guy I had forgotten about.
And we're definitely going to see ROX Tigers gleefully accept the Camille. Kind of seem a little bit perplexed as to why it was left open, but like I say, I expect to see Score heavily play around the lane because it's considered a very winning matchup for the Camille. And Lindarang himself has had those days out. He's 2-0 on the big 9 KDA as well. This has probably been his signature next to the Vladimir. Waiting to see the jungle choice. SeongHwan has played Nidalee a long time ago, but it's been definitely many moons since we've seen the Nidalee. And they say, if you want to play 2v2 top lane, why don't I pick up the Nidalee?
And that he does. Nice little look there by ROX Tigers, following along your line of logic, Papa. So we'll see if SeongHwan, after a weak game number 2, try to come in here and carry his team on the Nidalee in game 3.
KT Rolster will probably cement a teamfight comp when they see the Nidalee. Nidalee always going to fall away in teamfight phase, and there is the Taric to guarantee very strong lockdown. The threat in teamfights, though, it's up and down from KT Rolster. Certainly Tristana can win a teamfight on her own, but Malzahar is largely an ultimate, and Smeb, depending on the build, won't necessarily be a teamfight impact. So KT Rolster are looking for mostly the late game teamfights, 4-item teamfights from the Tristana, whereas ROX Tigers, if they get going, they have a fearsome siege comp, Zoe, Nidalee, and Varus for Lion Pope. They are immensely strong as a 4-1, with the Baron in particular, the sort of thing that even with Engage, it might just be too much to bear for KT Rolster. So let's look at the early game and see if KT's plan of allowing the Camille at the cost of a good laning matchup for the Gnar will be used against them or for them, because it's very suspicious to ROX Tigers that you leave open Camille when it's both comfort for Lindarang and comfort for the matchup.
Yeah. You can tell that ROX know what they're doing, right? Good bans, good picks there, and you gotta like their drafts in game number 3. We were joking around after game number 1, and halfway through game number 2, the tables have been turned, and this has turned into kind of a serious problem for KT, saying, oh, we actually have to play against this team that is not just going to give up and lay down and take the loss against us.
If anything, they got inspired. Now we see SeongHwan going super aggressive on his jungle pick and taking the Nidalee against Score, and the jungle matchup will swing both the game and the lanes in 2 different ways. Score will probably take fleet footwork, want to have the faster clear to be there for the counter gank, but if the ganks start rolling for SeongHwan, this could be a massive upset.
That it definitely could be. KT looking very relaxed once again. Smile always on Deft's face. Smeb looking more serious than ever. But here we go, guys. It looks like the countdown is ready and started. Let's jump into game number 3, KT versus the ROX Tigers. Here we are in match 29. Game number 3, a game that I was not expecting to have, but ROX have gifted to us.
We'll take a bonus game, Valdez, as it'd be a bonus for KT Rolster if they didn't have to deal with a Braum invade. They haven't got any advanced scouting, so they're unsure where Braum is, and Braum usually sets the pace of a level 1. For now, very defensive. One of the reasons why we don't see ROX invading, they're really going to set up around Nidalee having a shielded start. If we don't see any ROX members top or bot side, there is going to be a degree of doubt as to where Nidalee started. And Nidalee's battle with Score, and also in terms of the 2v2 top side, I think will be one of the most pivotal parts of the early game here. For now, at least, looking like a hard leash.
I don't have the stats to back this up, but I feel like KT always put themselves in a situation where they're they're not first in the league, but they're always second or third behind other teams because of situations like this. I feel like we're watching the same movie over again where KT destroys game 1 and then all of a sudden game 2 comes along and you're like, what happened? Why did you just kind of throw this game away?
I mean, if you were in a coma for a year, woke up and watched this series, first, shout out to you, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And second, yeah, I think it's very reminiscent of KT Rolster from spring 2017. Unforced errors kind of ruse their ways. We know about the highs and the lows of the KT roller coaster, but just the way that somehow it seems, you know, it doesn't seem necessarily that it was ROX Tigers making a smart level 1 play stick to level 3 to level 5 and taking over a game. It's largely the big unforced error. The showmanship from KT Rolster just gets in their own heads because of the big personalities and legends on this team, and it's used against them. So let's see if KT can steady the ship and take another consecutive match win to go 5 match wins in a row for KT and Kingzone coming into that big matchup on Wednesday, or whether they'll trip before the start once again.
Yeah. They're going to have to put their pride behind them and try really hard to win that match.
Someone's not spotted coming into the bot lane. Let's see if the first spear hits.
It's the big question here as they look to move in onto Deft. Just going to land the red buff, and the spear goes in onto Mata. They get the flash out of Deft, and that's about it.
Pretty restrained there from ROX Tigers. They could have tried to ramble all in on one person, but they decided to just accept the flash and disengage. Means a degree of safety is removed from Deft, who will have the rocket jump. Lane control was expected for Varus and Braum, but cemented when flash is going to be down from very early in the game. The passive breaking the spell shield is usually what we see. You know, a sidestep on the paddle star, and then you just walk up for the auto attack, and that stops on from being out of threat range for the majority of the laning phase.
Gathering Storm is my friend. That's what it says.
3 out of 3.
3 out of 3. Doesn't matter what champion he's playing, but twice on Zoe here.
Amusingly, didn't even need the Gathering Storm last game as turret dive.
Oh boy, you were talking about playing along the top side. He's got the stun ready. Gonna land it on in now. There's that extra damage. Gonna get the Mega Gnar. They're taking this very slow, but here comes Nidalee. They might be in trouble with the stun coming in from Lindarang, forcing the flash away from Smeb. That was a scary moment for the KT dive.
Yeah, that scenario was actually better than expected for KT because it wasn't being shadowed by the Nidalee. I saw the Nidalee bot side tried to make the play, but almost turned on them. Let's see, some nice harass come in. Ooh. Oh, maybe not. That was a bad look for Lava.
Yeah. Everybody talks about how Zoe doesn't take a lot of skill after you hit the sleep, but in that case, not following through.
We're not big on the trouble bubbles here in the LCK. Paddle Stars one-shotting, and trouble bubbles leading to missed Paddle Stars apparently is how we roll.
He got a little bit too excited. It was the most obvious, you know, easy setup for him to hit that one. But
wide on the dazzle there from Mata.
Yeah, nice dodge by Key.
Trying to freeze the minions as much as possible while Sangyoon teleported in. In terms of the keystones, you'll see the spellbook onto the Taric. That's a fun one. So no Guardian means that the laning phase is a little bit more risky. But Fleet Footwork on Deft kind of makes up for it because the summoner there is much more for lane, whereas triple unsealed spellbook from ROX Tigers. Did this in game 1, returned to it in game 3. What we saw from BBQ, I thought, was the most creative thing, where it was just ending what was at that time a bad laning phase, teleporting to top lane, trying to take a turret from it.
Oh boy, SeongHwan gonna get stunned up here, but has Camille coming in. Lindarang from the top lane, Trouble Bubble sails wide. Had that landed, score might have been in a bit of trouble.
A nice first trade, but only because SeongHwan was happy to stand up with first rotation from his top laner. Had already pushed in the lane, so no cost to CS. For Lindarang, gone very heavily into lane. Look at these starting items. You never see this in the 2018 meta. First time we've seen Doran Shield and Doran Blade start for just lane supremacy. Picked into a winning matchup. Was unsure after KT allowed it why they would make such a decision, but he's reinforcing his options to potentially turn around. Another attempted a gank because he navigated the first one pretty comfortably.
SeongHwan's smite was off cooldown, so it looks like he was the one to get the big Raptor in the fight for the Raptors that we see very often in this situation. They were able to push Deft out of the bottom lane here. He was low on mana and health, needed a buy, so he goes back.
That's what unsealed spellbook double unsealed spellbook, we should say, versus no unsealed spellbook on Deft means. It means you get the better back. They even get a demolish proc off early in the game, something that's baited in such great support to Gnar earlier this season.
Oh, yeah.
Deft comes back with his BF sword. First back for him. A bit of turret damage, but not the most consequential. Lava's picked up a smite.
Let's see where he uses it. Will he just use it in lane or try to go for the blue buff? Go for a crazy steal?
When it comes to how this game should play out, because, you know, again, if this is your first series of League of Legends you're watching, you probably wonder if you learned much about that from game 1 and 2 with all the craziness that happened. We like Camille into Gnar. Malzahar is a good lane post 6 into the Zoe for all-ins, but otherwise kind of just tries to dodge the paddle stars. So Zoe's doing just fine there. And it's a winning bot lane for Sangyoon and Key to the degree they can go utility with the unsealed spellbook to try to increase the pain onto Deft and Mata. So early game, a lot of advantages here, and the skirmishing jungler in the Nidalee means that ROX Tigers have a lot of early game options. It's definitely going to be mid to late game for KT Rolster. So we're looking for ROX Tigers to grow a lead, to actually get some ganks going, and for Sejuani to be in position for the counter gank to stop that from happening. So early advantage certainly to ROX Tigers if KT can force team fights, which isn't trivial. Malzahar Flash is really the only ranged engage they have. The Sejuani ult hitting, probably going to be blocked by Braum and also the Camille. But those are the ranged engage options they have. Those go wide. Forcing the team fight with the Cosmic Radiance is not that easy for KT to pull off.
Very true. One thing that KT have going well for them so far in this game is Smeb keeping up very well in the top lane against the Camille. Of course, the Camille hasn't picked up too many items just yet, but we will get to that a bit later in this game. So far, standing strong. Besides that, I mean, you see a nice little CS lead for Pawn in the mid lane, as he's about 10 ahead here.
Lava taking a very confident build into the Malzahar. The reason why you don't see a QSS very early, something that Crown tried to do in the same matchup and was punished many times by an early Malzahar ult. The only reason you do that is because you have a lot of confidence in your jungler to battle ward, to stop Sejuani from being there, to confirm a kill every time the suppression is up. So QSS is delayed very heavily this game. So SeongHwan and Lava basically saying, we're going to play through mid lane and allow Lava to skip over the QSS in the early game.
See another barely missed paddle star.
Let's try this again.
Lava. Yeah, they're going to give it a shot.
Once more with feeling.
Yeah, we got Nidalee this time around, but it's double ultimate into the wall here against Lindarang.
He survives
for so long as KT not finishing the job for a very long time. They're going to get the knockup here on a score. Never mind, Lava coming in behind, gets the double kill on the Zoe. Pawn just sticking mid. No TP from him, and not the cleanest dive we've ever seen from KT.
Yeah, triple teleport. I'm not sure if Smeb saw the teleport come in, because he dies with everything available on the top side. The framing there was, of course, focused on the golden Sejuani, but it ends up being a turnaround. KT allowing this comp to ROX Tigers being turned on its head. We watched the replay. The start of it was great because they held on to the ultimate. They get it, they layer it, and then they decide not to try to finish the kill. Smeb was tanking turret. Watch Smeb, he comes to reinforce. This whole time, teleport is channeling. You need to get out, Smeb, you're gonna die. It's confirmed with the Camille, the Zoe coming through. It gets a double kill. So out of nowhere, is super accelerated. Might even be able to pick up the QSS and play for his own lane or rush towards him around Omicron. It does end up being the QSS. So circumvents the time when he can actually be punished and gets the early itemization. This is a huge win for Lava in particular.
Yeah. It's great for the team as well because Nidalee gets the space to get the Rift Herald very early on. I mean, we're only 12, 13 minutes into this game. 10 minutes even.
Yeah, that was basically off spawn.
Okay. Yeah, just gets it right off spawn as the top and jungler from KT are just absent after their deaths. So things looking up for ROX in this game so far.
KT trying to justify the no Camille ban by having Score gank the lane. First time didn't work, second time turned against them. Means that Camille being a bit of CS behind is a surprise, but something that certainly they'll be able to navigate with the extra assist gold they've been able to pick up. The Nidalee is doing fine, but this is the big problem, is that Pawn doesn't have a lot of options playing through lane. You want to play through the Zoe, trying to lock her down, but not going to work now with the QSS.
It's a QSS that could be used for a lot as well in the future. I mean, got a bunch of lockdown ultimates from KT, so we'll have some nice uses for him, not just for the Malzahar. Lindarang still having a little bit of trouble as things go on here. Gnar pushing him in quite well. He's sustained so many ganks up there that it's hard for him to win the lane at this point.
See what Score's next pathing will be. Going top lane hasn't gone as expected. Mid lane looking very tricky to pull off what they're clearly showing from the picks they have. They want to make happen. Top lane should be the percentage lane, but not for now. And ganking through bot lane is going to be tricky to pull off unless Deft starts using some very aggressive rocket jumps like Ruler was doing earlier in the week against MVP. So we'll see if they can start a fight bot lane. That's where at least there's the most parity for the side of KT. Soon to be Rageblade though to allow the Varus to really start going. Attempted contest in the blue buff, that's going to be comfortable. But Pawn has been just a passenger as all the madness has been topside.
He's just been hanging on, farming, getting blue buffs, doing his job. Has the nearly the most farm in the game. That prize goes to Sangyoon at this point. We're going to have the Rift Herald used in mid lane as they want to push this on in. SeongHwan with his own red buff can help out with the push. Let's see how much they want to commit to this here. Score trying to push them back. A nice dazzle once again, but the Chain of Corruption onto that front line. You see the Sejuani getting extremely low, but the Cosmic Radiance just on time to save his life. But it does mean that the turret is going to go down. Deft going to trade one in the bottom lane.
So Deft gets a bit of free farm and gets a turret. The investment is only the Cosmic Radiance and Taric's Flash. Pretty decent trade given where the game was at for ROX Tigers. They owned the bot lane river, so there was no way for Deft to make it there in any sort of decent time frame. Top lane's going better than expected. The jungle attention might not have got kills, but it has slowed down the advance of Lindarang, who isn't going to be using the hook shot aggressively. So when it comes to turret HP, which so often is the story of the early game, who gets the first outer ring of turrets down first, you'd say that KT are doing just fine with some difficult options to consider.
I love the Malzahar pick into the Zoe. Been seeing a lot of teams doing it recently, but we kind of got a mini show of exactly how the matchup is going to work. Just the Voidlings that come out can block all of the non-targeted spells from Zoe. Paddle Star, the Trouble Bubble, everything she's got. It's a pretty nice counter. Also holds her down if she doesn't have the QSS with the Nether Grasp.
I mean, you can just say, well, people will say, well, what about the QSS? It slows down her build by 1250 gold, which is great. And from the Zoe, it stops the Zoe power level from being 2 items strong till 25 minutes rather than 20 minutes. So you'll definitely take that. When it comes to delaying, same story with Skarner and having to opt into QSSs to stop his suppression. There is a pretty big sunk cost into denying away playmaking, or you try to roll the dice with damage and then get punished. So the mind game is always there, and it's why Malzahar is still very strong in the meta. May not see much of him when we hit 8.2 on the latest round of nerfs, pushes power back even further. But for now, a cornerstone of the meta.
Well, we kind of, it seems like KT is taking things a little bit more serious this time around. They're playing more slowly. They had a plan in mind. They have, you know, Sejuani coming top over and over. By the way, she is top once again. Spotted on the ward this time. So things have taken a turn for the slower in this game number 3. It's 15 minutes and only 3 kills. It's not what we expected after game 1 and 2.
The lane assignment does end up getting turned against KT on the bot side, but it's Score going for his latest visit to the top side. Going to be a second turret rolling down. Teleport invested just to guarantee this turret and then just cancel. That was Marta's teleport if you were keeping track at home.
Yeah. Always got to keep track in this meta, on this patch.
The long lanes usually focus the action on the 1v1 between the top laners. As 4-1 is what's going to happen here. Traditionally, we'd say that's great for ROX Tigers. They have an insane siege comp and Camille into Gnar. But Gnar being this powerful early, having an item lead over the Camille, is a good news story. And it's going to play around the Camille again.
Never-ending fights here against the Camille. 2v1. In comes Sangyoon trying to save his life. They're going to turn it around with the stun. They can't get the kill again. Unbelievable. Sejuani goes down, as does the Gnar. Another botched semi-dive there from KT.
KT Rolster think they're being tricky playing through the Camille, but they're against Unsealed Spellbook everywhere. A smart counter roam by Sangyoon of all people, showing up as Cleanse Unsealed Spellbook Varus, able to turn it around. The moment they saw Varus, they knew they were in a lot of trouble. Zoe there to profit again. KT Rolster, being telegraphed, is being turned on its head again and again.
It's a third kill to the Zoe. We're going to take a look at the replay.
Look at the mini-map as this starts. Obviously, people are a long way away. Lindarang uses Hextech Ultimatum to dodge damage and also the flash, then turns around. He'd held onto the hook shot this entire time. Didn't even have a heal to heal up. Lindarang just lives through all of that. Lava again with the counter roam. KT Rolster need to understand that, sure, it's cute. You left open the Camille, play through the lane. It's not working. Find advantages elsewhere, because those moves are just accelerating their own demise.
Yeah. You were talking about the roam from Sangyoon. It was just they had pushed in the bot lane so far. They were looking to head up into the top lane this time around, as you do. And they were going to send Camille down, but it was just very unfortunate timing. Not the right place or the right time for KT to come in.
I mean, it's unfortunate the first time, the second time. At some point, they're just not taking all the right steps. They're not dotting the I's. They're not crossing the T's. They're trying to just find some winning lane for this game. But it's just, again, causing them more problems than it's worth. We now have a 3,000-ish gold lead for the side of ROX Tigers. Waiting for something like a Trinity Force to complete, a really big power spike for Lindarang. And if we start seeing winning trades for Lindarang against Smeb, we know what sort of pain is going to be unleashed by the trio of Nidalee, Zoe, and Varus under enemy structures.
Yeah, you could already look at the score lines. 1-0-1 for Varus, 3-0 for Lava, again on the Zoe. This time it's a much different game compared to game number 1. And 003. Small special agent is SeongHwan.
Trainee special agent.
Yeah, you know, he's working on it. Nidalee is looking, it's better.
So how do you play out with a very strong siege comp is the question you might ask. Wards on the flank, control wards on the flank, so big for the side of ROX Tigers. A lot of initiation pick CC from Score if he's not showing in the mid lane, and from the Malzahar. So right now you can see they have a control ward on the right side, but Score is going to be removing their vision on the left side to put a bit of doubt in. They start throwing out paddle stars and spears and then reevaluate. That's the game plan for the 4 right now for ROX Tigers.
Just a slow, controlled push down the mid lane. KT not confident to take the fight just yet.
And they can taxi it into Camille, who is pushing in pretty heavily in the bot lane as well. So a lot of options here for ROX, whereas if you miss the Sejuani ult, it's a free turret. But if you hold on to it, you may lose it slowly anyway. So not the best options here for KT Rolster. And certainly this is where the accelerated items onto Zoe start to increase the pain. There's no way she should have 2 items and also the QSS complete.
I liked the way Lava was playing this 0-4-1, where he was just throwing trouble bubbles underneath the tier 2 turret mid, but then he would send one over towards the bottom lane too, just to help out Camille with the push. Is KT ever going to engage here? Chain of Corruption comes out, but it hits the Malzahar shield. They're going to lock down Key here. Cosmic Radiance coming in. Do they have a follow-up? Smeb gets here first. They're looking for a kill onto Braum. That would be the first pick. Flash coming in from Smeb. They really want the Braum here. Looks like they should get it on the back end. So just 1 kill in trade for the turret.
Yeah, everything used there to get the kill. They held onto the Malzahar ultimate, but KT will want to find a way to get a quick Baron and end the siege. Camille's not joining yet. We won't see multiple recalls from ROX. Teleport come back from Lava. They can't punish with anything more than just a single kill. They don't get any objectives. They relieve pressure. But ROX Tigers can just return to the scene of crime and try again. The theory was correct there. They used quite a lot of tools. So the flash beam down from Sangyoon means they're going to be a little bit more conservative next time they start to push. But Camille also starting to be drawn to mid lane means they didn't lose a turret for all of that.
So ROX should be pretty happy with their position right now. Or take a look at the damage graph. Actually, across the board, not too much damage. Makes sense. We haven't had too much action in this game overall. Looks like Smeb has the most damage. Just the harass against the Camille will give that to you.
The mind games were definitely there with Score visiting the lane so often that ends up just inviting you to take free damage, because if your previous attempts to go aggressive were punished once, twice, 3 times, at some point you learn and just start to take the role of the defensive side of the matchup, even if on paper it's one that Camille's do traditionally very well on. So plenty of stopwatches left open for ROX Tigers. Say the same thing for Malzahar and Tristana in this game as well. So we can still have an epic fight where 5 people go golden. I know you love those, Valdez.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. Very easy to cast too.
Sometimes being a color caster is a good thing.
Yeah.
Don't have to respect the stopwatches.
Lava definitely has his angles down. He got a nice high grade in geometry in high school. It's good with his trouble bubbles.
Whenever we see Kha'Zix and Nidalee, we talk about how someone else needs to be taking the Baron. That represents Key. So if Key's walking up, can be pretty confident that they haven't started any objectives. There is a control ward from ROX on the objective now.
Ooh, Deft. Seen this before. Takes it more passively though, sitting in the brush.
2 items, so 1 item away from his 80% crit dream, and from there things get pretty good for the Tristana, given that ROX's lineup is not the most tanky. Probably wants a second Zeal item and a QSS, and then he'll be willing to start going for the aggressive rocket jumps that Double Lift has made famous, and Ruler in the LCK. I've been doing this season. So it's an interesting little point of the game. Gold lead being cemented by ROX Tigers in a game for the first time this series after, you know, being behind most of game 2 and rolling over in game 1. The Nidalee has gone for a squishier build. No Rod of Ages here, so it's going to be much more about poking and healing rather than looking for any assassinations with a takedown. Intentional choice, and I imagine might actually finish the Frostwind's claim quite early to get the Twin Shadows effect and have the Spooky Ghost to spot out if Score or Pawn are looking for any sort of flank. It's one of those things where we talked about how do you set up for a flank. We have your control wards down. If you have the Spooky Ghost, you put down 1 control ward and then you activate the Twin Shadows effect on the Frost Queen's claim and scout out from there. So it's a bit of extra safety without having to face check into a Malzahar or Sejuani.
Watch Lava from downtown. He wants to get the trouble bubble onto the Gnar here, onto Smeb. He's got that long wall to do it. There it is. Smeb kind of runs into it. We'll see if they go on into this. The Hextech ultimatum
cancels out.
Yeah, knocks him out of the ultimatum, and he gets away with his life.
They're still going for it, though.
Okay, not giving up here, and Lindarang on that mobility from Camille picks up the kill. A very important one at this point.
And now the 4-1 split pusher is going to be able to take down a turret while ROX Tigers have a 5v4 advantage. What does it mean? It's definitely going to mean 1 inner turret going down very swiftly. Baron control is already there for ROX Tigers. I wonder if that will be the moment where the game blew open and we saw Baron buff started as KT had to react to the split pushing. We still could see that, but Smeb is up in 17 seconds.
Well, SeongHwan taking a little bit of damage. He'll be fine on the back end. Papa, is it our fault? Did we get too excited in game number 1? Was it us? Did we do this?
See, I don't know if excitement was something we got. It was more amusement and general
I was
glee.
Getting excited.
You were getting excited?
Yeah,
you were the one, Valdez?
Maybe it was me, actually. I thought we were in this together, Papa,
I
like
was
a
checking
duo, but apparently not.
I was checking the Twitch chat logs. No one in there was excited. I actually think you were the one that got excited.
Maybe it was me. Sorry, guys. Maybe now that I've apologized, KT can come back.
Look, I know that you're not casting KT versus Kingzone, but
yeah,
did you have to curse it as well? It's a bit vengeful,
Valdez. I'm getting a little bit jealous. Alice is going to have a fun time with that one with you.
KT Rolster are not out of this game, but ROX have many more options. Now the Camille really is going to overtake the side lane. Ravenous Hydra is completed. The 4-man core is more accelerated than I could have ever imagined, with Zoe at 3-0-1. Dominantly in the lead in terms of kills in this game. And Deft is on side lane. I really need a second Zeal item, Judy. Which means there is more catches potentially for ROX Tigers to pick up.
Pawn looking to make things interesting down on the bottom side. Lindarang will win the 1v1.
Has to fully commit, though, if she wants to fully win it.
And at this point, kind of iffy. They're going to go in. That's a double stun, easily going to get the kill, but they are rotating. In comes Score from behind. This is only Key and Lava. They do get the trouble bubble onto Smeb, but again, it's a 2v1. The Zoe getting low. They committed a little bit too hard for this. Sejuani going to pick up the kill. And now Key running away with this tail between his legs.
ROX Tigers had control of a lot of the parts of the map, but this was not one of them. That was disrespectful from them. Much similar to how KT were disrespectful in Game 2. And they're going to lose out in many ways because map control has, out of nowhere, gone the way of KT.
It's because I apologized. They're coming back in the game, Pop. Well, let's see what they can get off of this. They're still behind, about 3,000 gold.
When we're talking about game states, it's a lot about if no madness happens, what should happen? Because there is a predictable cadence to how teams play out the games when they have a strong 4-man core, a strong 4-man setup. These sort of mistakes where ROX Tigers just overinvested after Camille took one aggressive trade too many are things you can't account for. So we watched the replay. Game plan here is pretty simple, and if you just paused the game and didn't show this replay, you would say, of course, Malzahar is going to come gank the Lindarang, and then the 4 members of ROX Tigers are going to turn onto the Baron. That's what we see in almost every game. But instead, because they have so many teleports, the Unsealed Spellbook, Braum roaming down, ROX Tigers tried to just answer this straight away. But actually, KT were hugging the bot side of the river much earlier, and they end up outnumbering. Score nails Lava with the Glacial Prison, and out of nowhere, what seemed to be simple became very, very difficult for ROX Tigers to engineer. No answering Baron, and this time it's KT, against the flow of the game, getting free kills.
Had Score not been there at exactly the timing he was there, I think the fight would have looked a lot differently, because the Paddle Star would have hit the Gnar and potentially one-shot him, but actually the backside of the Paddle Star ran into Score, who actually interrupted it on the backside, and so the damage didn't come out. Zoe was on the run from there on out, and it couldn't be a 2-on-2 from there. I'm
a big believer in just not being in a bad spot rather than trying to salvage a bad spot with an outplay. It's usually the Korean way. But, actually ends up using the Q there to escape away from the Varus Chain of Corruption. That was slick from Score. Arctic Assault. There we go. I nailed it. I really wanted to say it, and I had assault in my head, but that wasn't the right word to use.
You had assault in your head.
I know.
Jesus, Pop.
It's been a weird series, Valdez. I'm all over the place. Hold me, please. Those 2 items that Deft desperately wanted are complete now. You are struck by the fact that if Key is not taking the brunt of the damage, Tristana can run over Nidalee and friends very quickly at 2 Zeal items. So a lot of things were not punished after ROX made a mistake. Deft got his extra item, some kills went the way that shouldn't have went the way of KT, and now the gold lead's almost nothing to write home about. The second Drake's been delayed a long time. We've had 1 Drake in 30 minutes, which lets you know the Elder is going to be not the biggest win condition ever. And KT are also controlling their red side jungle and denying easy Baron starts. Key's on it though, he's not patrolling, so predictably we're going to see a start.
Yeah, they have the vision here. And the TP coming on in from Gnar, it looks like. And here comes the turn, trying to come in from behind. Cosmic Radiance. They are going to get the Dazzle here onto Lindarang. Not enough damage comes out, but the Gnar trying to come in as well as Sejuani. They get the kill on the back foot. This turn is not working for ROX. Chain of Corruption might disengage them, but might not save their lives here. Score coming in from behind. He wants to force the fight. A little bit more damage onto the tanky one, but Lava pushing forward.
Oh, baby!
He gets the 3-man stun there, and that's going to be lights out. 3 members going down. Sangyoon trying to make something of it, but cannot. SeongHwan all alone getting out of that fight, but Smeb stepping up big on the Gnar.
ROX Tigers had KT Rolster in Game 2 get too close to the sun and burn themselves. This time Smeb stares into the sun, stares him down against the huge 3-man Gnar. That's the game-breaking play right there. ROX had the right idea, stop Baron and turn, but they didn't have Zoe in position to catch someone with a trouble bubble. They just trained down Lindarang. ROX is completely out of position here, because Lindarang was the one around the sides, not the Zoe trying to get a pick. And from there, it's too easy. They're able to buy so much time, specifically with first Sejuani buying time. And ROX Tigers say, I need to stay away from the piggy. Watch Smeb come through. comes through with the crunch. Flash into ultimate. 3-man stun with the wallop as well. Doesn't matter how much damage Sangyoon's spamming on him. He's going to be dead as well. Huge moment for KT Rolster. Game-breaking play means that KT Rolster might actually come against all expectations 2-1 up and 5-0 in match score when they face down Kingza.
Nicely done by KT. Maybe they finally got serious. They're like, okay, we got to take a step back and make sure we play this one out. ROX getting a little bit of an itchy trigger finger. Starting onto that Baron. Lindarang, we've seen his flanks on Vlad, but they look better than the ones we've seen on Camille. Not necessarily a flank there, but...
The struggle for KT fans is that, you know, we see the gold graph and it's very reminiscent the other way, right? Where ROX Tigers had a 5,000 gold lead and threw it back to KT Rolster. If you give Kingzone a 5,000 gold lead, you're going to lose. That's just how we have observed them play with their 10-game-in-a-row winning streak. And that's the struggle, is that KT is always susceptible for pulling a fast one on themselves. Pulling a fast one on the enemy, a lot of the time, on themselves. Once a series, you know, is kind of the worrying thing for KT Rolster. They've been better in that regard this year, but it's not a new KT Rolster. Unfortunately for them, it's more of the same. Haven't won this game yet, but they're in a good spot.
That they are. The 3-2, it looked like maybe Pawn wanted to collapse onto Camille, who does have her QSS at this point. But either way, can help with the push in the bottom lane. Camille can't stop that all by herself. We will have to have someone rotate down here.
Yeah, Camille has a gold lead, but Pawn is there. Try to increase the pain.
Okay, and here comes the engage after the rotation. Just engaging onto the turret. They don't want to take a fight here. Oh, Trouble Bubble, Chain of Corruption. Onto Deft. He does jump away.
The Trouble Bubble did short there, so that's why he wasn't affected by the sleep mechanic on the end after the jump away. Speaking of jumps away, Poke's still going to be pretty impressive with the death cap complete on the Zoe.
Scoring an awkward spot here. Might need some damage in the front, but actually throws his own ultimate out. He forced to cleanse his way out of that one.
Score's been on point, dodging abilities with the Arctic Assault. So another ult goes down for no gain. Glacial Fissure cannot confirm the kill. A lot of cleanses on the side of ROX Tigers, both bot laners having it to allow them to disregard the dazzle and then try to enact more damage. Smeb walking up, a lot of ults down, so doesn't have to respect that much.
Lava looking for a paddle star, is gonna miss. Can line up a Trouble Bubble, actually messes up his ult there. Would have gotten a nice spread of damage. They get the sleep there onto Malzahar. But you can see the team of Mana and Smeb just blocking in the front as he's not getting too much damage, Lava, so far in this engagement.
This is the last wave with Baron buff, though, so KT could have looked to invest more proactively at Cosmic Radiance. They've been holding on to it the entire time. Only one ultimate was used by KT during those last engages. Baron buff will wear out as this wave crashes. Will we see the Cosmic Radiance get the turret?
Well, not just yet. The Chain of Corruption comes in and Score gets stunned down for an incredibly long amount of time. There it is, finally. Gonna save his life. Nidalee getting a little bit too far forward as the burst damage comes out from Deft and Pawn. Nice lockdown. No QSS on the side of our poor Nidalee, who was caught out in the front.
I mean, he doesn't have the build to be in the front lines when you go for Void Staff and no health or magic resist. That's a long-range poke build. SeongHwan baiting himself in there because of the damage done to Score. They're staying in the base, so Score building up the minion wave with his Warmogs giving him full health again. Deft doing a lot of damage. They want 2 inhibitors to KT Rolster.
Yeah, should be able to clean up 2 and back off from there. Not going to stick around any longer afterwards. Do got the Elder Drake next. I don't know when that is, but probably a bit more than 5 minutes or 4 minutes.
Not going to be a top-tier objective in this game either, given the fact that it's only a cloud and an ocean, respectively, for KT Rolster and ROX Tigers. And I imagine it's time for tutorial style. I imagine it's time to barrel down with 5 in the top side. Don't want to give any room for Lindarang to get one friend and take down Gnar in the side lane, so grouping probably the right way to go. 1 minute 50 for that Elder.
It's the gank brush. put down as much counter vision as possible and hope someone makes a mistake.
The gank rush has been thwarted.
Well, with the introduction of plants, it's a lot less successful from what we've seen.
Big nerf to Samsung Galaxy of 2015, who really only had one strategy, which was the gank rush. It didn't work very well.
Yeah.
Samsung fans don't like to be reminded of 2015.
Yeah.
When they lost all their players and the new ones weren't so good.
Well,
it worked out eventually.
I remember in the beginning of League of Legends when playing, you know, beta season 1, season 2 even, gank pushes were a big thing.
Is this your hipster moment, Valdez?
Yeah.
To show your street cred to the viewers?
Of course. You got to do it every once in a while. But yeah, people used to do that a lot, especially in solo queue. When people weren't so smart.
What solo queue have you been playing?
I'd like to think that people have gotten smarter, though. Although sometimes I'm reminded when I play solo queue that it's not always the case.
I think it's a case by case on that one.
Yeah.
Well, KT is going to brute force down the inner turret here. They've got Taric. They've got a Sejuani who's ridiculously tanky, so who cares about turret shots?
Okay, they will ultimate in here onto Lava, who just cleanse it. And they counter-engage onto Score, who says, lol at that. I am Sejuani with all the items in the world at this point, although he is eating a lot of poke from here. He will need to disengage and re-go. Okay, we have Lindarang in the front trying to engage as the rest of them are up top, trying to get on top of Smeb. He says, no, I'll throw it back into your face. The shields are going to save the lives of ROX, but still a lot of ground gains here for KT.
Smart to understand that it did represent terrain there with the down inhibitor. This actually has bought some time for the members of KT to bring up the minion wave in topside. ROX have not fully healed. They don't want to give up a third inhibitor, but they may have to.
It's looking like a third inhibitor coming down here. No Sivir on the side of ROX, so should be able to slowly close this one out, especially with the Tristana poking ahead. Key trying to deny that as much as possible with his Unbreakable. But one turret goes down, the burst damage from Smeb, funnily enough, underneath the turret, just getting to work there. And everybody else from ROX getting way too low. They take out the second Nexus turret. Will they continue is really the question. We got the Cosmic Radiance. They just got to click on the Nexus. Trying to go on in here. And Deft in a pretty good spot on the right side, but they are trying to engage here. And oh boy, Varus gets blown up. Key gets blown up. Guardian Angel for Smeb. That's going to do it. Finally, KT do take the 2-1 victory.
KT Rolster will enter the match against Kingzone. 5 match wins in a row, but this one was a struggle. Definitely a counterpoint to some of their other series where they have looked like new beasts, but this time it was unfortunately the old heads of KT Rolster 2017 being reared. There were some struggles. Game 2 massively ahead, then just getting too foolhardy and throwing away an easy victory in Game 2. Game 3, they were behind, but were able to have a couple of good moments and also take advantage of ROX's eagerness to end the game. The play around bot side where they got the maximum when it should have been advantage. ROX Tigers relieved a lot of pressure. We didn't see the Baron setup adequately done. Baron ended up being a loss for ROX Tigers, and you can see some bemused faces here. Lava in the mid lane knows they were close this time. He was fed in a different game. They would have gone down and won this 2-1. The ROX Tigers, no points, only a bit of game score. KT Rolster will look forward to Wednesday's match against Kingzone.
Lindarang always looks pissed after they lose matches, and well, I'd be pissed too after that one. They were ahead against KT, and
if I was a KT coach,
so close.
I'd be pretty close to that emotion as well, Valdez, because this form we saw today is not good enough to beat Kingzone Dragon X if Kingzone plays anywhere near towards the peak of their powers. So KT Rolster has some VOD review. They've got some days. Today is Sunday. They do have 2 full days to prepare something, but the top of the table clash between KT Rolster and Kingzone will be one to watch. But this one means that ROX Tigers are condemned to a 3rd match loss in a row.
That they are. Let's take a look at some game facts. You can see that ROX Tigers getting up near 6,000 gold ahead, but they could not close it out, as eventually KT do take the victory. Gnar, the most damage in the game, even more than Zoe. Don't see that too often.
Able to run away with the lane. The ganks that he was thrown definitely weren't effective in terms of kill score, but they were in terms of pressure. Lindarang ended up playing very, very safe, and when we had the camera on him, you know, the 1 or 2 times he took the aggressive hook shot, by hook or by crook, he was turned over by KT Rolster, who allowed the Gnar to just play a range versus melee matchup and disregard any sort of threat from the Camille. So that was the good news story for KT. Smeb was able to lead from the front. We haven't seen him on lane dominant for a long time. You have to think that at least one game against Kingzone, he will need to play that role again. The fearsome opposition on the day will be Khan. But Smeb from ahead was something that propelled ROX Tigers in 2016 to so many victories. And it did help KT in this game as well. But like I said, it was a messy series that KT takes down 2-1.
Yeah, they make it work. If you want to be results-orientated, well, you can say, okay, we took the win today, and go back, do that VOD review that you were talking about. I'm sure Kingzone are sitting back watching this saying, well, they don't look that good, although they will respect KT coming into their match on Wednesday. A lot of things to pick apart from this series. You know, the way that KT kind of brings themselves into their own mistakes at times. Kingzone can say, well, maybe we can bait them into certain not-so-great situations for KT.
I mean, KT will scrap with you. That's something they've always done, is they're happy to get in the dirt and scrap with you, and that can be turned against you like we found in this series. MVP will be Smeb, turning a poor matchup on its head with a great performance here in the top side. 300 MVP points, closing in on 1,000 kills. So a sick video, no doubt, coming the way about Smeb in a few months' time. Depends on how many carries he plays for how many kills he gets. But Smeb has been one of our stars ever since we hit the LCK era. And he was unleashed on then the Coup Tigers. Still a star 3 years later.
Yeah. Says up at the top, did you see my 3-man ult? Yes, we did. I'm sure we're going to see it again as well in the future with the highlights. But either way, guys, I'm going to throw it over to the interview side of things with Ji-sun to translate, so enjoy.
승리의 견인차 스맵 선수가 여러분을 기다리고 있습니다. 직접 만나보시죠.
So here is the MVP of the game, Smeb. Congratulations. So you are having the only MVP interview alone. And there was amazing moments in the game 1. First of all, how do you feel? Well, I'm really sad that we won one game, but I'm getting the MVP points, so I feel really happy. Well, some of the fans could have enjoyed the tight match between you and ROX. And there was amazing moments. The first game, you started with the Relic Shield. Why was that? Well, the item has a really good synergy with my runes. So whenever I land my Q skill, I get 15 gold, so it gives me a lot of lead, so I chose to start with Relic Shield. So you earn more than 500 golds. So in more specific details, was that because of the gold? What was your decision? Well, as we picked Gangplank, we also got Israel's. They are both easy to make gold leads, so yeah, we also thought about the gold list, so that's why I picked Relic Shield. And you guys are playing as one team for 2 years. So how's the teamwork going? Right now, we're all just trying our best. So yeah, I think we're getting into the best teamwork. And as a captain myself, I still need more improvements to be done. Then when there was some strugglings in the second game, what kind of conversation did you have between? Well, I personally prefer some risky plays, but as a captain, I feel like I need some stable plays. So I had some confusement between. So yeah, so that's why I had some strugglings. Yeah, I think that's the reason why all the fans are saying that you're going through some kind of change in your play style. Then what will be the highlight of today's play from you? Well, it's been a while that I made the highlight, but I really want to pick the 1v2 moment of myself. Let's check out the highlights. So how was the situation going? I would like to say this is a perfection. You almost got two of them. And this is the other highlight. Well, I think ROX was in the lead at this moment, but I made some great team fight, and I think we were able to make some comebacks. And what kind of shot calls did you guys have? I think I just said, let's just open a team fight, and we are lucky. I think you're doing really great, so you should get rid of your pressure as a captain. So we just brought the former captain score. We brought him here for Smeb. Congratulations on your victory. We really wanted to have an interview with you also, but you didn't get the MVP point, sadly. Well, I personally thought that I would be the MVP for the first game, but I'm a little bit disappointed. Sorry that we did not give you the MVP points, but yeah, we do agree that you made some great plays. So how is Smeb doing as a new leader of your team? Well, better than I expected. Yeah, he's doing better than I expected, because I thought he wouldn't do well as a captain, but yeah, I think he's a good leader. Then as a former leader, which player needs some extra care as a captain? Or any tips as being a team leader? I think he needs to stop being late first. There are some players who are coming late to the gaming house. So Smeb should be the one coming early to catch the late coming players and get better forms of practice. So we hope that Smeb does better as a leader from now on. And a lot of your fans have been saying a lot about your new hairstyle. Well, I didn't give any comments about my hairstyle, but they gave me this look, so I thought I was getting MVP points and having an interview, but said that I did not. Well, luckily we got you in the camera, so you can check out later. Then back to Smeb. Score gave you a lot of good advices. And KT, you guys are having a win streak, 5 wins in a row. So what are your expectations on the 8.2 patch? Well, our upcoming opponent will be Kingzone. So I think we really should practice harder. Yeah, we need to practice and exercise more. Does Kingzone give you extra pressure on it? Yeah, and Kingzone also has similar playstyles with us, so and also Khan is doing his best performance nowadays, so I think I should do better. So are you ready to show your great performance in your upcoming match? Yeah, so hope you guys are looking for it. And there's only 22 kills left until your 100th kills in LCK.
해볼 수 있을 것 같은데.
Well, if we can make it to the third game, I might get the 100th kill, but I'm gonna make it to 2-0 game next time, so I can get it next game.
디스코 선수와 더불어서 두 명의 선수 모두 한번 만나봤는데 끝으로 역시 KT구나라는 경기력이 오늘 나왔습니다.
You guys have been performing great today. So is there anything you want to say to your fans?
현 주장에 한 말씀씩 부탁드릴까요? 먼저 전직 주장부터.
Well, I missed the question, sorry. Well, for the fans, I would like to say thank you for coming out to support us. And all the fans watching on the television, on the internet, I want to thank all of them. And we're on a win streak, so I don't want to lose against Kingzone. We got Tigers today, and we're going to get Dragons next time. Then let's hear from Smeb.
네, 날씨가 정말 춥거든요.
Well, it's really cold nowadays, so thank you for coming out to cheer for us.
감기 꼭 조심하셨으면 좋겠습니다.
Watch out for cold. Thank you.
오늘 멋진 경기를 펼쳤던 KT로서 2대1로 승리를
And this will be the end of the interview. I'll hand it over to you guys.
만나봤습니다.
Thank you, Ji-sun, for the translation. And once again, we will take a look at the highlights. We already saw some from what Smeb was able to pull off, but it was a bit of a slower one in game number 3, but KT finally, from behind, was able to take the victory.
Yeah, the early game movements from Smeb and Score definitely looked a bit more like a ROX highlight package, but it eventually started to come back together because this was all indicative of pressure for Smeb, denying Lindarang farm, even if kills were going to be turned over. It's a really nice re-engage by Lindarang. That time, Lava couldn't believe that his birthday came early again and again and again. There was a way for ROX to win this game. It seemed pretty straightforward. They made a couple of foolhardy mistakes, chasing down onto Smeb and Pawn, where members here, and this is where ROX gave away kills that was kind of unnecessary. And then forcing Baron rather than sieging was their second big mistake. Allowed KT to teamfight, get back into the game, and eventually crest a 2-1 lead. And like they mentioned, continue that win streak coming into the all-important game against Kingzone on Wednesday.
Yeah, they look good in their moments where they weren't throwing. And Smeb certainly looked good in this moment here. Nice little finish to the last big fight as he ults 3, wallops 3, and does take the victory here at the end. It was a bit of a slow one here at the end. They did actually add some more kills to their tally with the delay. And either way, we are going to take a look at today's result, the 2-1 victory. All under 40 minutes, every single game that we've had so far. And it says at the top, even though it was hard, we got 5 wins in a row.
The 60-minute games are thankfully a thing of the past recently, so it has been trending downwards towards the 36-minute sweet spot that I guess is the best we can hope for in the meta right now. With the standings, KT and Kingzone right up the top. KSV behind, actually equal in game score, KT Rolster and KSV, so that's some fun thing to track right there. Those teams haven't faced just yet, but we'll definitely get some resounding answers about Kingzone and KT and where the top of the standings may lie. Only 3 matches left in the first round robin for every team except the 2 teams involved in our next series.
Yeah, next up, FLICKR and SKT. SKT hurting down there. SKT 1 and 4, as everybody likes to call them now. -4, but either way, we'll see what they can do. We're taking a look at the schedule here. Of course, what we just mentioned, SKT versus FLICKR coming up next. Should be a very short break comparatively. I say very short, but it is just going to be 20 minutes, guys. So no 30-minute, no 1 hour, no 1 decade-long break. It's going to be a bit of a shorter one. Yeah, 20-year break so the players can have enough time to put together their peripherals, do all their settings, not the usual 30 minutes that you have between series, and no fixed start. So it's 8 p.m. Korean Standard Time, so just after 8:20, we'll be getting to go from there and actually give you what should be a really exciting game. That's going to be a good one. We had our predictions before. We thought that, had a friendly guest on our stream. Looks like we might have more. Oh, no! Okay, they avoided it. It was close, but our predictions before it was that Africa was going to win. They're looking really good, and so far SKT haven't proven it. They have a nice lineup, which is filled with a bunch of their veterans, but we'll see what they can do. Either way, me and Papa will join you guys in about 20 minutes.
LCK 스프링 스플릿 오늘의 첫 번째 경기는 KT 롤스터의 승리로 끝이 났습니다. 저희는 20분 후 SK텔레콤 T1 그리고 아프리카 프릭스의 경기로 다시 인사드리겠습니다.